This video is not about hustling. It's not about doing more. This video is about clarity. Because when your mind is clear, purpose stops hiding and leverage becomes natural. This is not hustle culture. This isn't even motivation. This is alignment. If your mind is under pressure, your purpose remains hidden. Tonight is about clearing the fog so what God placed in you can finally move. This is not entertainment. This is instruction for those who are ready to move quietly, heal properly, and leverage what God already placed inside of them. If you've tried louder, harder, faster, and it didn't work, this is for you. If you've already stopped being loud, if you've already stopped working harder, working faster, if you tried moving quietly and it still didn't work, or you still felt something was blocked, then this is definitely for you too. This is recalibration. Not information to consume, but a system to realign your mind, your purpose, and your leverage. Before we talk about money, success, or leverage, we have to correct the mind. Because an unclear mind cannot identify assignment, and an unhealed mind cannot sustain purpose. Most people were never blocked by lack of effort. They were blocked by misalignment. You cannot leverage what you do not clearly see. And you cannot see clearly when your mind is under pressure. Before anything can be leveraged, it must be seen clearly. Most people don't fail because they didn't try hard enough. They fail because their mind is crowded, or they fail because their effort was applied in the wrong direction, under the wrong authority, with the wrong understanding of who they are and what they carry. Noise creates confusion. Confusion hides assignment. This isn't about doing more. It's about removing what distorted perception. When clarity returns, purpose becomes obvious, and leverage follows naturally. Failure is rarely about effort. It's about misalignment, working hard under systems that were never designed to reveal your purpose. Effort was never the issue. Alignment was. When the mind is healed, perception is restored. And when perception is restored, what God placed inside you becomes visible. This is why healing always comes before purpose, and purpose always comes before leverage. So the real question is not, what should I do next? It's, what has been blocking my clarity? So the first thing we have to address is this. Misalignment is not external. It's internal. Before you can leverage anything in your life, you have to determine what authority your mind is currently operating under. So the question becomes this. What is actually blocking clarity? Because before talent can be leveraged and before purpose can be executed, the mind has to be addressed. Let's define the real problem. Because before leverage, before wealth, before purpose, there is one thing that must be corrected first. And that's authority over the mind. Concept 1 is this. The gate is the mind. And whatever controls perception controls what you're able to access, build, and become. The world teaches you to chase outcomes. God teaches you to correct alignment. Systems reward visibility. God rewards obedience. So before we talk about wealth, success, or leverage, we have to address the real gate, the mind. With leverage and wealth comes execution. However, before we can even get into that, we have to address the real bottleneck: mental clarity and authority. Because leverage doesn't start with action, it starts with jurisdiction. Who's shaping your perception determines what you can see, and what you can see determines what you can use. What I'm about to walk you through is not a mindset trick. It's framework, a sequence, a realignment. Every form of leverage follows order. And when order is broken, effort is wasted. There are 4 things that must come back into alignment before leverage is even possible: your mind, your identity, your authority, and your assignment. So here's what we're going to do today. We're not chasing motivation. We're restoring jurisdiction, because the mind is the gate. And whatever has authority over your mind determines your actions. And your actions unlock doors and determine what doors will open and which doors never will. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through these 3 resets. Number 1, authority. Who or what your mind answers to. Number 2, perception. What you've been trained to believe is true and how you take in the wisdom being given to you. Number 3, alignment. How to recognize when you're moving with God versus moving with pressure. And as we go, I don't want performance. I want honesty. So get ready to write, because this only works when it becomes personal. Concept 2. Authority determines access. What or who you submit your mind to determines which doors open, remain shut, and what can be leveraged. Once you understand that the gate is the mind, the next truth becomes unavoidable. Not every block is external. Many blocks are internal and inherited. Some resistance isn't about discipline. Some confusion isn't about effort. Some delay isn't about timing. It's about what has silently shaped your thinking. Fear, false identity, borrowed beliefs, and unexamined authority. This is where most people mislabel the problem, and why leverage never activates. Misalignment doesn't happen randomly. It happens because authority was misplaced. Now that you understand the gate is the mind, the next question is authority. Who has jurisdiction over your gate? Because effort under the wrong authority will always feel exhausting, confusing, and unproductive, no matter how disciplined you are. Most people aren't misaligned because they're lazy. They're misaligned because their thinking is governed by systems, fears, identities, and expectations that were never designed to reveal purpose. Alignment is not motivation. Alignment is correct authority. And when authority is corrected, clarity returns without force. Clarity doesn't come from adding information. It comes from removing noise. Noise isn't just sound. It's opinions you didn't consent to, expectations you inherited, systems that train you to move before you understood why. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is filtration. When noise is removed, distortion loses power. When distortion loses power, perception realigns. And when perception realigns, you begin to see what was already there. This is why clarity feels sudden. Nothing new arrived. Interference just left. Silence doesn't make you something else. It returns you to what you already were before the world spoke over you. Once clarity returns, direction stops being confusing, because once clarity is restored, the problem is no longer effort. It's jurisdiction. Now that clarity is restored, the question is no longer can you do it. The question becomes who has authority over how you move. Jurisdiction determines which rules apply. Most people stay stuck not because they lack ability, but because they are operating under the wrong systems that were never authorized to govern them. Clarity alone does not change outcomes. Jurisdiction does. Once perception is restored, the question no longer remains, what should I do? The question becomes, under whose authority am I operating? Jurisdiction determines what has permission to influence you, direct you, and demand your obedience. Two people can see the same truth, but only one has authority to act on it. When your jurisdiction is misplaced, even clear insight produces frustration. You understand but cannot move. You know but remain restrained. Not because of lack, but because authority is misaligned or misassigned. Change happens when authority shifts. When the mind no longer answers to fear, comparison, survival, or performance, and comes back under rightful governance. Once jurisdiction is corrected, effort becomes effective. Direction stabilizes. Movement accelerates without force. At that point, progress is no longer resisted. It's authorized. Clarity doesn't fail because you lack discipline. It fails when influence is misassigned. Clarity exposes the structure you've been operating inside of. It shows you that effort was never the missing ingredient. What becomes visible now is something more precise. The invisible framework that decided your outcomes before you acted. This is where most people misinterpret resistance. They think something is blocking them when in reality, something is governing them. The mind does not drift on its own. It is governed quietly by whatever has permission to interpret reality for you. That permission was not always consciously given. Some of it was inherited, some of it was trained, some of it was accepted under pressure, fear, or survival. This is why effort can feel sincere and still produce resistance. The work isn't wrong. The governance is. And until governance is examined, progress will always feel unstable because direction without jurisdiction eventually collapses. Authority is not about what you believe. Authority is not about force. It's about what you obey under pressure. It's about permission. Whatever holds authority in your mind determines which thoughts you obey, which fears you negotiate with, and which limits you accept without question. This is why two people can see the same opportunity and experience completely different results. They aren't lacking effort, they are operating under different permissions. It is revealed what overrides you when clarity is tested, when fear speaks louder than conviction, when urgency replaces obedience, when systems dictate pace, value, and worth without your consent. This is where outcomes are decided, not at the level of motivation, not at the level of strategy, but at the level of who is allowed to define truth, timing, and direction. Before leverage can be sustained, authority must be identified, not challenged emotionally, but reclaimed intentionally. Until authority is restored to its rightful place, clarity can exist, but still be overwritten. This is the distinction most people never see. And this is where leverage either becomes inevitable or impossible. Jurisdiction answers who has access to the mind. Authority answers who has the right to command it. Many people remove the noise, but they never transfer the authority. So then confusion returns. Alignment only stabilizes when authority is consciously reassigned. Authority determines what multiplies. Whatever governs the mind also governs the results. Healing restores clarity, but authority is what sustains it. If effort wasn't the issue and clarity returned, who is actually governing your decisions now? What you learned today is foundational. The work beyond this point is structured, quiet, and intentional.